stuff. They say, roll up your sleeves, wash your hands very carefully, be extremely careful, sterilize everything, blah, blah, blah. They also tell you that the origin of natto goes back 1,000 years or so. Some people say 400 years. And the story is, natto is also called hay bacillus because it's on hay and straw. And these samurai soldiers were, about to be attacked, and they bundled stuff up in straw bags. And when they came back 3 days later and they were hungry, the stuff smelled kind of weird, but they were real hungry. They ate it and they thought it was great. Took it to the emperor. He liked it, and everybody's been eating it ever since. Until the 1930s. They were doing the same stuff they'd always been doing. In fact, the word natto means bean storage. Natto is a two-part word. It's the way they kept beans from going bad. They stored them in hay bags, straw bags. That's when you're making stuff for compost tea, and you want paramecium, you throw in some hay because that stuff's crawling with paramecium. It's crawling with all kinds of stuff. So for hundreds of years, they've been making it this way. And finally, in the 1930s, in Japan, they had little natto makers all over the country, and some of them had a reputation for making real good natto, others for making not so good natto. And when they went in the 30s and checked all these different ones, the ones that had not so good natto had nattophages, which killed the natto. And they didn't have stainless steel; they had clay walls. And once they had the phages, they never got rid of them. But anyway, my point is, they haven't been doing things sterile all that time. It's like with making kefir or kimchi, when you first start making it, everybody says, oh, you better be careful or you're going to kill yourself. Well, making real, that's the directions.
I've never heard of anybody killing themselves.
But actually, I will admit, I have had a natto batch or two get real funky. I thought that was impossible, and so with the dog food stuff, I've gotten real careless with the dog food stuff, and I've had a batch or two get kind of weird. And he eats it a little slower, so.
You put the dog food in the strainer too?
No, I have a different technique for that, which is, I'm sorry to be going so long, but if you guys follow.
Wait for Vivi, John.
Okay, you guys are asking the question. So if you're making something that's not like beans where air can get all through it, then it just makes sense that if you have a thicker layer of a liquid, there's no way that the air is going to get into it so much. So you do thinner layers, and the way I do that is I take something like this. But you know what would be much better if you had it? I don't have it, but would be those square glass pans. Those would be real nice, and stack them up. And so you like this one. This is just what I have. You're going to have a different deal, but this one is bigger than this one, so I can put a layer in here and put this on top of this, and not stack it so high that it touches this, but it can breathe around here. It doesn't need a lot of breathing, but it needs some. Then chopsticks that are square, at least on one end, you put that, and then you put that on there. You put that down in here between the two hot water jugs, and then I happen to have a thing that's a bigger square pan that kind of nests right down on top of the water jugs. So I have a third thing I put in here. So when I'm doing dog food, I can do 3 layers plus the thing on top. And when I'm experimenting with liquids, I can do that too. There are things you can do with liquids, and I haven't gotten that worked out yet.
Stay with the dog food for a second.
Okay.
So then you put it in that box for all day long.
In the cooler.
In the cooler, at 25 degrees. 25 degree bulb. Or no, you got the hot water.
Hot water bottles.
Yeah.
Okay, and you do it all day long or longer?
Yeah, so after it's been going about 8 or 10 hours, it's getting pretty good. But probably about the best is about 24 hours. You can go 48 hours. I've gone 36 and 48, and those have been some of those funkier ones that the dog starts to wonder about.
And you're fermenting regular old kibble.
Well, I get good kibble, no soy, no grain.
Yeah.
But still, it's all kind of junk.
Not really. They've really, with dog food, they've really made changes in the last year.
Yeah.
But see, I don't. My dog eats raw stuff. He doesn't get much kibble, but the kibble he gets is all natto.
So you don't. So you actually ferment the kibble.
Yeah. So what I do, I figure that kibble is probably crawling with bacteria, but I might be wrong about that. But in any case, I put in a big stock pot. I put maybe about that much water, and then I dump kibble in, and as long as there's still some salt and water, it's not all absorbed in, as long as it can still boil. I've got it boiling. I get it boiling first, and I keep dumping it in, and it goes way up near the top. So it's a whole big pot of kibble, and it's boiling, and I get it all steamy and kill any bacteria that are in there or anything. And then I let it boil for a while so that it thoroughly gets wet. You want it all really wet. And then when it's all really good and wet and steamy, and it's been that way for several minutes, then I inoculate it. And then I put it in these things.
So it's mush.
No, it's not mush. The stuff I gave her was kind of not recognizable anymore.
It looks like meat.
Looks like chunks of meat, because what happens is, see, it's in here and it dries out a little bit in here, and so I kind of scoop it out in chunks. And if she'd looked closely, she would have noticed that those chunks had a granularity, and that granularity was kibbles.
I was kind of wondering what kind of meat that was.
Yeah, it's kind of kibbles. By the way, Kathy, I'm noticing it develops kind of a mold after you keep it a while in the fridge, so it doesn't keep real long.
Okay.
John, what's the brand name?
Of the kibble?
Yeah.
The one I'm doing this time is Diamond.
You just tasted
But I never get kibble.